Now, I call sine, cosine, and tangent the big three. Those are the three you got to know. SOHCAHTOA. Now, the other three, secant, cosecant, and cotan, you're almost always provided the definitions of them. And the only one that I've ever seen not provide the definition for is cotan. In general, these are going to be definition problems where you're going to work with sides like you see at the bottom of your screen, and they're really not that bad. Let's talk about them to begin with. So sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, right? Now let's flip that around. Let's do bizarro sine, which is hypotenuse over opposite, and bizarro sine is called cosecant, or CSC. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and weirdo cosine is hypotenuse over adjacent, and that's going to be secant. Now let's talk about that just for 1 second. While these are provided, I do like if you know them, it's kind of helpful. S goes with C, sine goes with cosine, or excuse me, sine goes with cosecant, cosecant goes with secant. Makes no sense, I know, right? Like, wouldn't cosecant go with cosine? But no. Everything's bizarre about this, remember? S with C, C with S. Cotan is an island unto itself, which is nice. And tan is opposite over adjacent. And cotan is just, or COT is just adjacent over opposite. Now, let's get rid of the big three. We don't need them here anymore, and we'll talk more about these other three. Rewrite cotan up here. Another way this is represented, like it is at the bottom of the screen here, is 1 over, right? We can say this is 1 over tan. We can say this is 1 over sine. And we can say this is 1 over cosine. Whenever you divide, okay, let's take a step back. I'm really just talking to myself. 1 over tan, that's like saying 1 over opposite over adjacent. Remember, when we divide by a fraction, we flip it. So I'm really saying 1 over 1 times adjacent over opposite. Right? So really, whenever you see 1 over something, all you're doing is taking the reciprocal of the thing on the bottom. That's all that ever means. That's, by the way, it's a really helpful thing to remember if you're taking the new SAT. It seems to show up quite a bit there. 1 over something, it's just a reciprocal of whatever the bottom is, whatever the denominator is. Let's hop into this problem, and I'll show you how I like to work these with sides. So we want sine of cotan times, excuse me, sine of theta times cotan of theta. It doesn't have to be theta. I've seen it very occasionally where they actually put a number in here, which makes it look like harder. But it does allow you to plug in and work through all the answer choices. But boy, that's really time consuming. And really, people tend to get it wrong. It's almost a trap to get you to waste time if they do that. So cotan is 1 over tan. Okay, well, it doesn't do a lot for me. So I guess I could replace that, I guess. But still, I'm kind of looking at something that's kind of ugly and intimidating and not very friendly. And I want things to start canceling, right? Because all my answer choices are nice, easy ratios. 1 thing over 1 thing, 1 thing over, right? Because they're all trig functions. 1 thing over 1 thing, 1 thing over 1 thing. So I want to start to get rid of some stuff. Let's do that. Let's change everything into sides. I know 1 over tan is the opposite of tan. It's the flip of tan. So that's adjacent over opposite. And I know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So now I'm multiplying opposite over hypotenuse by adjacent over hypotenuse. Excuse me, adjacent over opposite. Oops. Look. Make this one fraction, multiply like this. cancel, cancel. What am I left with? Adjacent over hypotenuse. And that, of course, is equal to our old friend, our old friend cosine. Not too bad, right? Keep your head, convert things into sines. You'll do just fine on these. Make sure you check out the unit circle stuff, and good luck.